Okay, so astrologically, what is going on? Okay, I want to look at her chart and see what's going on. But I also wanted to look at her human design chart, which is typically how I run my readings. Like, there's a problem, we look at the birth chart, and then for the solution, we look at the human design chart to figure out how you can navigate the situations that are coming up. So let's peek at both. So this is her birth chart according to the internet, timing and all. And the first thing that I noticed prominently was that she's a night chart. So her Saturn placement, which she's like she's in the early stages of a Saturn return, like she's inching up towards it. But her Saturn placement is a very strong influence in her entire chart. The seventh house goes over audience. If you want to learn more about that, I have another video on it that I recently talked about, because Timothée Chalamet was dealing with something like this. But Saturn in the seventh house basically means that you have the potential to build a strong audience. You also have potential to be very disliked or rejected or disciplined by your audience. I see this a lot, especially like Lizzo has a malefic in her seventh house as well. So it doesn't mean that you can't have an audience. It means that if you do, there's a lot of critiques, especially with Saturn. There's a lot of pressure to uphold a certain way, to show up a certain way, to commit a certain way. But I think this Saturn transit plus the nodal reversal she's going through is kind of like the kicker for the situation right now. And I do want to say, though, I did notice that she has natally an applying Moon Pluto conjunction. So I can imagine that she is someone who daily experiences a lot of ups and downs in her emotions, or just the things that she goes through on her day-to-day go like quickly from 0 to 100. Like, things can change on a dime, and I don't know if it's necessarily like her, like how she feels, and then that shifts the mood of the entire room, or if the entire room is shifted and then she has to live in that environment and react to it. So it feels like safety and feeling a bit paranoid is something that she was kind of promised to experience to a degree, which is very tough to deal with, I do want to say. Anyways, I don't want to get into shit that really isn't my business further, but let's navigate just the situation. So this is what's going on right now. Actually, this is like right now, like the chart of a few minutes ago. But really, like the second that the sun entered Aries this weekend was when the kicker of the situation like kind of came, and then everyone's like dogpiling with all the other things that have happened, and it kind of feels like, okay, this is her lesson. For the sun, the ruler of her 11th house, moved into her 7th house conjunct Saturn, or inching towards the Saturn conjunction, and it's kind of saying a disapproval of who she is on the inside and how she is as a celebrity functioning. And I've talked about in so many videos how the main focus for a Libra rising is going to be like your relationship with other people and like the commitments you make to other people. But for her, which also that could still be something that comes up, like she did just recently leave her management company, so that's like a commitment that she is no longer partaking in. But it could be on a personal level as well, but we're clearly seeing that it's more related, especially as the sun is moving through, like her 11th house ruler. It's really related to audience, but the 7th house is that main audience. This is your allies. These are your supporters. So it's almost like her allies are kind of like questioning if they still support. So that's the battle, and that's the tough part of this moment. But if I look at her human design chart, I actually have some advice on how she could potentially navigate moving forward, which maybe she's already doing this shit, but who knows. She's a manifesting generator, okay? So we know that her strategy is to first respond to what life gives you and then vocalize your decision and then take action. But she has to remember that she is a car and that she needs to be turning on her blinker once she's made her decision. So, that will make sense for her on these smaller decisions. And I guess bigger ones, like she let everyone know that she was leaving the company, and then that kind of initiated other people to leave that management company. So that's a clear example of her kind of sparking a change, as well as like the paparazzi and the way that she shifted their interactions with other celebrities on red carpets. So she is here to like initiate things into action as a manifesting generator, but it's really her living in response to how she is being treated and then moving from there. And we see that she has emotional authority. This is what it looks like in the chart, is this little guy being filled in. With emotional authority, basically there's no truth in the now. Things kind of make sense over time, and how you feel in a moment is not necessarily the truth of the entire situation. So whether or not her situation that took place this weekend was her trying out a new security guard or testing the waters of something, or if she maybe made a rash decision when she was feeling something emotionally and was like, get this person out of here. I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend to know. But ultimately, decisions should be made slowly over time, dipping her toes in and trying a situation on instead of like jumping into it and deciding that like this is the truth because this is how I feel right now. It's like you got to give it a little bit of time. And more specifically, wait until you're at like that emotional middle ground of like, I actually feel nothing. It's almost like how you feel when you first wake up in the morning when you haven't read anything, you don't know what's going on, and you just kind of feel calm and at peace. Your body is kind of sitting in this normal and neutral state instead of feeling reactionary and excitable or really down emotionally. But one of the most important things I noticed was that her profile line is 2-4, which means that as a fourth line, she needs to have people around her that she trusts. And as a second line, it should be people that she easily feels comfortable around. It shouldn't be like forced. It shouldn't be this or that. It's like, if I trust you, then I'm open to meeting your friends. It's like the more that she can spend time around someone and get to know them and their character, the more she can actually put her trust in them. If she doesn't have the ability to like naturally feel very calm and trust their character or trust like what it is they're here for, what it is they're doing, the values align, things like that, then there's a good chance that this person will do something that will fuck her over later, or that it's just like you need to have a very, very strong circle of trust with a 2-4, especially any kind of fourth line. Like, her best friends should be the ones running the show, and they probably are. I think she's talked about that. I can't remember her creative director's name, but like I know they're like really tight. That's how it should be. But like with at every layer, like it should be like the people that she trusts the most are hiring other people that should be trusted the most. But also like a 2-4, a second line can feel interrupted when they're in their zone. So sometimes the second line like needs to hermit, which is actually reflected with her chart too, because she's a Libra rising and then she has a Capricorn Venus in her 4th house. I feel like Britney Spears had a 4th house Capricorn Venus with a Libra rising. I don't remember, but I feel like she did too. But the point is that she needs alone time. She needs grounded time. She needs to connect with herself in like isolation every now and then. Like she needs that to feel like a person. Okay, but back to her human design chart. The last thing I would look at for when is it time to do something, she has hope motivation. Okay, so the motivation is like that last final layer of like when you're making decisions, like what should be the driving factor? Dead ass your motivation. Now, when I see a hope motivation, I think this is someone that needs to fuck off a little more often. I'm sure she's probably doing that. I'm sure there's a million things that go on when you're famous and you're not sitting there responding to hate mail all the time and all that shit. But I actually think she would do better to allow people she trusts to handle the situation or for someone else to resolve things. The more she gets involved, the more she's actually experiencing guilt motivation, which is the opposite of her motivation. And the more that it kind of affects her connections and her feeling comfortable in life. So the best case scenario is for her to allow other people to make things right and resolve whatever issue shows up, because hope motivation is about allowing life to happen and creating a stronger sense of trust in divine timing and kind of believing in something bigger than yourself, allowing the like life to piece things together for you. The more and more and more and more that you get involved, the more you're gonna watch the thing break, because you're almost accidentally enabling people whose job it actually is to learn that lesson and resolve that issue. You're basically learning the lesson for them or taking away the opportunity for them to learn from this, because you think, no, I could just fix this. If something breaks in front of you, remove yourself. Don't fix the problem. And in my opinion, that's kind of like the biggest lesson that she'll probably be learning while Saturn is transiting her 7th house and throughout her Saturn return. We also see that her chart ruler Venus is making an aspect to Chiron right now. And it's applying, it's on its way, we're not even there yet. So things could get just a little messier before they clear back up. Sending out some love. Good luck.